series. During this series, we're going to be chatting with homeschool parents, homeschool experts, and all types of homeschool people just to bring you some inspiration and encouragement as you are homeschooling. And so in addition, I just wanted to share with you that we have updated our website, and we've included an extensive collection on how to help you homeschool, how to teach certain subjects, and organizational tools. And everybody loves free stuff, right? So I just wanted to share with you that we have a brand new digital homeschool record keeping kit. And this includes like a planner, a report card, a grade book, all those good things that really help make it easier for you to homeschool and keep your records. So you can head over to homeschool.com and find that there for free. It's right on our homepage. And before we get started today, I would like to introduce our guest. We have a really wonderful guest. I mean, she's super friendly. I've been chatting with her. I think we're going to really enjoy today's episode. But her name is Janine Deems, and she is a homeschool mom and a Studycom ambassador. So she's going to talk with us on how we can prepare our tweens and our teens for high school, for college, for their future. And, you know, it's something that so many of us are concerned about as homeschool parents. So, Janine, I'm glad you could be with us. And would you take just a minute to share a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you for having me. I am a homeschooling mom. I have 20 years experience teaching, but my daughter came to me and asked to be homeschooled. And so I decided to put on the hat of homeschooling mom, and really the most important student that I would ever teach. And so that's how I looked at homeschooling. And so we've been homeschooling since she was in 4th grade, and she's a senior in high school this year. And so I am right in that boat with you of having a tween or a high schooler and having those concerns. You know, in the beginning when we were homeschooling, when she was in 4th grade, it was amazing and everything was fun. And then once I started getting to that point where she was going in high school, it started to get more serious. And I started to think about these different concerns, and am I preparing her, and do I have the right tools? And so I'm excited to be here today and to talk to you through some of my concerns and the concerns of other families that I've heard.
Absolutely. And it's really like one of the biggest questions that I get from homeschool parents. Have you found that to be true as well?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It's almost like we had all this confidence when they were in elementary school and then even in middle school. And then we start to lose that confidence with high school. We start thinking about, you know, am I going to hurt them? Are they missing out on opportunities that they might have got in public school? And so we start doubting ourselves. And so I think it's just natural that we're, you know, even our friends who are parents of public school students, they're stressed out and they have this same kind of concerns, just in a different way. And so I think it's just a super hot topic when we get to high school and we get to those harder subjects. And so, yeah, I feel like it is one of those things to where I don't know any homeschool parent that has not had some concerns with homeschooling in high school.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to what you have to share with us today. So if you want to go ahead.
Okay.
Yay.
Yes, thank you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. Of course, now it's not wanting to. Here we go. There. So one of the first things that came to my mind when I was thinking about my concerns, having a new, you know, a middle schooler that was about to go into high school, was how am I going to prepare my student for college? You know, will I pick the right curriculum so that she's getting everything that she needs in order to graduate high school, but then also to succeed? Because we have this fear that, you know, by homeschooling, we're not giving them the same quality of education maybe that they would be receiving somewhere else. And as homeschoolers, it's just not true. we are the best teacher for our kids. And so that was a concern of mine, though. I know that even though I've taught for all these years, every teacher is specializing in something different. And so calculus is not something that I specialized in, nor did I take in high school or college. And so these fears started to come from thinking about, how am I going to teach my daughter calculus? Not only have I not taken it, but I need to know it well enough to teach her. And so that was a concern. And I think we all have a subject where, maybe we're strong in math, but not in writing, or we're stronger in writing than math. And so that was a huge concern for me, is picking the right curriculum, or providing my daughter with the tools that she would need to succeed. Another biggie is working parents, especially during COVID and these, months after. We have so many new homeschooling families that already work full time. And here they are trying to work, and they don't have the ability or the time to teach every subject to their student. And so they're trying to juggle that. And, we're trying to figure out, how can we give that quality education at the same time as working our job and somehow staying sane and cooking dinner by the time we get home. So, there's a lot to juggle. There's a lot to think about in high school. And so another biggie is, we all know that our friends' kids who are in a public or private school are going to school all day. They have 2 or 3 hours of homework at night, or maybe even they're working with a tutor or an SAT or AP, ACT prep program. And that takes another hour, or who knows how long, every night. So how can I prepare my student but not spend 10 plus hours a day with them doing school, so that they have time? So, and then again, like I said, with the SAT and the ACT prep and tutors, that is costly. I hear of people spending thousands of dollars to prepare their student to graduate high school and to succeed in college. And I don't know about you, but I don't have that kind of money. And so once again, it's like, how can I prepare them when I don't have the money? I work full time, so I don't have the time to teach them. And so that is one of to me, the biggest concerns I had, and one of the biggest concerns that I hear from other families. I'd love to hear, Jamie, what your thoughts are, because you have graduated high schoolers. And so what words of wisdom or thoughts do you have on this?
Well, I have to agree with everything that you said. I mean, those are struggles that I had, and the same struggles that I hear from other homeschool parents that they're having. So definitely a concern, even, across the ages, across the different, levels and scenarios that we're living in right now. But I feel like one of the biggest things that I try to tell parents when they're concerned about those different things is that they aren't alone, and that they don't have to teach everything themselves.
Yeah.
I think those two big things, once they know that, that there's a huge support group out there, between, people like you, or ambassador for other places, and people like me who just, that's what I do all day, is just answer questions and point them in the right direction. So there's a huge support group out there, and they don't have to feel alone. They can ask questions, get help, get resources, advice, so all of those things usually tend to calm their fears and their worries. And then when you show them what types of things that are out there, and they see the good resources, they're more encouraged.
Definitely, because we're all in it together. If I'm having a concern, you probably have the same concern, and everybody else is going to have the same concern. And so it is neat to see how many resources are available to us homeschoolers. And now there's even these hybrid schools, or different things for homeschoolers, where they are offering classes in these specific subjects. So if you have a creative writer, or you have a student who wants to take these classes, they have teachers and they can go to class and they can socialize with the kids, and they're just for homeschoolers. There's just so many options that it's really neat to see how far homeschooling has come and the opportunities that are out there. And I love what you do because you're connecting parents with these resources and helping them to see, like you said, that we're all in it together. We all have the same concerns. So, let's figure it out together. Another big thing was flexibility. This is another concern that I hear a lot, and that I had. How do we prepare our students for high school graduation and college without them spending that 10 plus hours a day? A lot of us who homeschool, we homeschooled so that our kids could have time to explore their hobbies and their interests, so that they could have the time for family, for friends, for sports. There's so many different things that are important in raising a child and having the time to do that. And when they're spending 10 plus hours a day on school, that is taking away that time. Obviously, they're in their room with the door shut and they're studying, and that's time that they're not with the family, and then they don't have to really explore career options, as well as, like I said, hobbies and interests. And so that has been something that was a huge concern for me, is trying to have that balance. I wanted the time, at school you have home ec and those types of things. And it was important to me to also help my daughter to be able to cook and to bake and, all those things that you want to help your student in high school learn about, having a bank account and, all those things that are so important to prepare somebody for their future. And unfortunately, a lot of times the kids don't have the time and the parents don't have the time to go over those kind of things, because it's so much focus on school, because we're trying desperately to prepare them for college. And so that was a concern of mine, and something that I took very seriously in trying to find that balance of how to prepare her and give her a great education, but then also have the time for these important things too. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's one of my favorite things about homeschooling is that it is so flexible that, they're home with me, of course, which I absolutely love. And then number two, that we don't, excuse me, we don't have to spend tons of time doing school or on school or working on texts, that we can get our learning from other things, like you mentioned, baking, cooking. Some of my children really enjoy like physical fitness. Another one she was really interested in becoming a nurse, and now she is in college and studying to be a nurse, but she did some dual enrollment and was able to get started early in high school because we had that flexibility. So it's so important.
Yes, and that's another thing that is a hot topic right now, with homeschoolers that are homeschooling in high school, is what opportunities are there out there that we can help our kids maybe get a jump start on college, maybe save money. And it's one of those things where you have the time when you're homeschooling, because it's not that we're giving less of an education. It's that it doesn't take 8 to 10 hours a day to give a quality education for our students and to prepare them to succeed in college, or in your case, to earn college credit while being in high school. Kind of that killing two birds with one stone. We're already doing biology, let's say. Why not earn the high school credit and the college credit at the same time? And so definitely this was so big for me. And it is a huge thing for homeschoolers, because that's why we looked for another option in the first place, was so that we could give our kids opportunities. And so that was another big concern. And then I think there's probably nobody on the planet that doesn't think about the cost of college. And I know that that was a huge concern for me, and even more so for our homeschooling families that have, multiple kids, 4 kids. How am I going to pay to get all those kids through college? Or how can I help those my students to not get in debt for 100 or 150,000 for a bachelor's degree, especially when they then decide to go on for a master's degree or doctorate? You know, we're not setting our kids up for success if they're starting out life with that kind of debt. And so that concern of how am I going to pay for college? And so what can I do as a homeschooling parent of a high schooler or a middle schooler that's going to become, you know, a high schooler soon? What can I do to lower those costs of college? Again, because we talked about the flexibility that homeschooling gives us, we can look at different options. So the one that they talk about all the time, and you probably heard from everywhere, is you better score high on your SATs or your ACTs to get those scholarships. And unfortunately, that is not a solution for everybody. And really, honestly, for the majority of students, that's just not in the works. Sometimes it's because of special needs or learning disabilities. Other times it's just because of the anxiety of test taking. And then there's a really great reason in my family. I just didn't want my daughter to spend all of that time preparing for a test. So there's all of these different reasons why that might not be an option. It is a good option for a lot of families. And so you can do that during high school, and that is going to lower your costs by them receiving a scholarship. So that's a great way, but for all of the families that isn't the perfect way, there's also dual enrollment. And dual enrollment means that the student is either going to the college or they are doing it online, but it is through a college. And so that is a great option. There's also CLEP and AP exams where you use your regular homeschooling curriculum and they prepare you to take an exam, and you go down and take the test and you earn 3 college credits from that. And so that's another great way to earn some college credits in high school. And then there's dual credit. Dual credit is what I love the most and what I chose for my daughter. It's a little different because, again, you're just homeschooling as usual, but you don't have to go through the college or university. So one, that saves money, but really the big thing for me was there's some negative things that come with your kids starting dual enrollment too young. So you kind of have to wait for them. It's not necessarily as great for every student. Some of those students with high anxiety, adding in a professor and deadlines and due dates and a lot of busy work too early can become a negative. Again, it's a great option for a lot of students, but dual credit allows you to earn the college credit at home without deadlines and due dates and without all that busy work. And so that's another great option that you can do to lower those costs. I know that you have multiple students. And so Jamie, I would love to hear kind of your thoughts on this. Like, was it a concern for you to how you're going to pay for college for multiple kids as they graduated high school?
Oh, yes. That was one of the scariest things as I saw them all start getting into high school. It's like, oh my word, we are going to have to do something. So, you know, we kind of considered pretty much everything that you have on your list here. One thing that we did do, and, you know, like you mentioned, spending so much time on ACT and SAT prep, you know, you can get lost in that rabbit hole and just really begin to stress over it. We did a little bit. And then I had them take the SAT and the ACT, let them choose which one they felt like they liked better. And then what we did was just took it several times. It seemed like, because, you know, they're homeschoolers. We're at home. You're going to a strange place to take this test, which, number one, that's kind of a big deal with a homeschooler, you know, especially mine, who are kind of introverted.
Yes.
So we took it a few times, and when they kind of hit a threshold of they got the same score a couple times, we stopped. And usually after, I think it was 3 times, they were so confident and relaxed that they just did well, you know. And really the SAT and ACT, in my opinion, should just be testing what they've learned naturally during the course of their studies. So I agree with you. We didn't want to stress over that, make it a big deal.
Yeah.
We did also use dual enrollment. That was a really great option. We did that with a few of our children, and some of them were ready for it, some of them not
Yeah.
so much. Some of them
Yeah.
started super early, like 10th grade, as soon as they could
Yeah.
start. And then I have, the oldest one that I'm homeschooling at the moment. She's wanting to, but she wasn't quite ready when school started
Yeah.
this year. So we're kind of
Yeah.
thinking maybe we do a mid-year start in
Yeah.
January. So that's just another option. You don't have to start in the fall. You can start in the spring.
That's right.
And then
Yeah.
CLEP, we did a CLEP. We kind of dabbled there as well.
Yes. Yes.
Which is pretty awesome because, you can, like you said, just take the course you're studying right now
Yep.
and kind of, run over some CLEP study tips and stuff for that particular course and then go take it. And you've got some college credit. So
Yes.
awesome.
And inexpensive college credit because,
yeah.
It's usually around $110
Yep.
to take a CLEP exam for 3 college credits. And so that's amazing. I love what you said, though, about ACTs and SATs. I love that we have those students that are just great test takers, or they don't need all of that prep, the hours and hours a week and a month to prep. So I love what you said about kind of figuring it out to fit your family, to where you didn't have to go down that road of tutors and all those hours of your school day being spent on that. You were still able, though, because of the quality education that they are receiving in high school, you were still able to have them take it and then just continue taking it until they got their best score. I love that, because that really is what homeschooling is all about, is taking something and tailoring it to your family. And it's so true. You have multiple students and they're all different places. It's never that you figure out something and then it works for all of them. It's just not like that. We know that from parenting.
Yeah.
What works for one doesn't work for all of them.
Absolutely.
So I love that you tried all of these, because that's what we did as well. We were out there looking for options, and really that's what this is. It's bringing options that maybe you didn't know about, maybe you didn't know existed, or that could be opportunities for your family. Maybe none of these work and you're just going to homeschool your student. That's great too. If you just homeschool them and they don't earn any college credit in high school, I want to make sure that that is said, that, that's not the expectation that they have to earn college credit in high school. We have so many students that aren't ready for it yet, or that there's just no need in your family to do it. And that's fine too. It's just, in my opinion, it was so neat to find these options that were available for my family, for us homeschooling. And really, again, it was like killing 2 birds with 1 stone, because we didn't do anything extra to earn the college credit. It was just, we're taking this class anyway, might as well earn the credit at the same time. So it can be an advantage, but it's definitely not a necessity. And so one of the things that really changed my perspective, or probably added more concern onto my plate when my daughter was in 8th grade going into high school, was how can we help our students finish college? How can we help them to earn a college degree? So I always thought, as probably you did, if I could just get them to college, if I can prepare them, then they're going to graduate, right? That's what you do. You go to college and you graduate. But I read the statistic and it just really changed my perspective of, the odds of getting into college aren't hard. It's that we need them to finish. We don't get anything if they, if we spend all that money and they don't finish it. They don't get anything. They're not going to advance in their career or move on if they don't finish the degree. You can get 118 credits of a 120 credit degree. And unfortunately, employers don't see that as an amazing, accomplishment. They see it that you didn't finish. And so you have to finish. And so if you look here on this screen, 13 will graduate in 4 years. And that really changed my perspective of looking at high school and homeschooling and trying to figure out, again, how can I prepare her to either when she finishes high school without any college credit, how she can succeed? How can I give her the tools to stick with it, to have that determination, to have that motivation, and to work hard on something that is a difficult task to complete. But it also changed my perspective because if I thought cost was a concern already when I was thinking of paying for college in 4 years, it definitely escalated my concern when I thought, what do you mean it could take them 6 years or 8 years to finish their degree? I definitely don't have that kind of money. And so I took this perspective of how can I change that? The things that we've been talking about earlier about lowering the college costs, the different options we can do, helping them to prepare for those SATs or ACTs, if that is how we're going to prepare them to get to a 4-year college. Whatever it looks like, that was something that really changed my perspective of homeschooling a high schooler. Did this ever cross your mind, Jamie, or were you aware? I was completely unaware. I just heard, all my friends post on Facebook with their student and all their, university gear. And I just figured, oh my gosh, all I have to do is get her to college. That is my goal. And then I'm done and everything will fall into place. But
right. Well, I think that's kind of a big deal to us as homeschool parents. We're like, can I even get them into college? I mean, that's like the first big hurdle that we can barely wrap our mind around, that then to go further down the road and think, okay, will they actually graduate?
Right.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it all does have to do with some of the skills and habits and priorities that we instill in them while they are, preteens and then teenagers and in high school. That aspect of what we start, we try to finish, following through. And so I think it's a building process that as homeschool parents, we really do have an advantage because we have more time to invest in those skills as well. But yeah, I absolutely agree. So it is a concern. So far, I'm so thankful 3 of my 4 that went on to university, tech school have finished. And one is still in the process. She hopefully will be a nurse in 2 more semesters.
Oh, that's so awesome. But you know what? That is so important. And that was that second concern about flexibility and being able to have the time to instill character and, perseverance and all these things that we're kind of seeing in our society as lacking. When things get hard, they quit. There's just so many attributes that are so important, and homeschooling allows us to have that time to really instill that character, to be able to give that wisdom to our kids so it's almost like in their preteens and while they're teenagers and we still have them and we're homeschooling them, we have that ability to really prepare them with those skills, which when it comes down to it, those are the skills that are going to take our student from being one of those ones that doesn't finish college or quits or gives up to all the way through. I don't think that it's by accident that 3 of yours have already graduated. I really do think that it comes down to how we're spending our time with our kids in middle school and high school and really seeing the value in those skills just as much as a quality education. I always tell families, it's about balance. Yes, it is so important to help them to succeed on those exams if you're going down that road. It's so important to help them have a quality education in high school. But it's just as important that they are raised to be good people, to be hardworking, to stick with it, gumption. I feel like so many kids, just don't have that these days. And so that is just another thing I love about homeschooling, is that I have that time so that I really have less to worry about with my daughter, because again, I'm giving her those tools, and they're not just for college. Let's be honest. They're important for their career in the future, in their relationships in the future, them being a citizen. These are skills that they will use the rest of their lives, and I think are just so valuable and important that us homeschoolers use those. I have no idea how it went all the way back. Hold on. So sorry. So yes. So for me, what I found for my family that has just worked out for a lot of these concerns was Study.com. It's a homeschooling curriculum. And I just want to talk through and summarize some of those concerns that I had with homeschooling in high school and the solution that I found. So again, this is just one option that's out there, but it has worked amazing for my family. And so I want to share it with you. So when we were talking about preparing them to succeed, Study offers master degree teachers that teach every subject. And then Study also offers SAT and ACT prep and materials. So right there for me, I was so, I think a lot of homeschoolers are researchers. We're researching everything. We're trying to find the best curriculum out there for our kids. And so for me, being able to find something where it was all in one, that I wasn't paying extra for that SAT prep and all of that. But then also my concern of not being qualified to teach maybe chemistry or calculus. It was really important to me that these teachers were experts in their subject area. And that is who I was bringing into my home to educate my daughter. And so that was just something that really gave me a peace of mind that that was the education my daughter was getting in high school. Another thing was that flexibility that we've been talking about. And so what's so nice is that my daughter spends 2 to 3 hours a day on high school, and that includes all of her subjects. So Study teaches using bite-sized lessons. They can be completed anytime, anywhere. So, which of course my daughter loves as she gets older. She does more and more school on her phone. Probably like a lot of other 16-year-olds out there, but you can do Study on your computer. One thing that we loved was that on your phone, well, we were sitting there when she was younger at the orthodontist office, and they're always late. She could put on her, put in her earbuds, get 2 or 3 lessons done of school. And that just motivated her when we got home to see, oh my gosh, Mom, I only have 7 lessons left and I'm done with school. And then she could go do art, which she loves, or she took art classes. She was able to have the time to bake and cook and to learn all these skills and have the time with her that I wanted to, knowing that she got a quality education, but it didn't take that 10 plus hours a day. She was doing it in 2 to 3 hours a day, and then having plenty of time for family and extracurricular activities. So one thing with Study is cost. Study offers dual credit at a fraction of the price. I pay about $130 per college class. And so that's really equivalent with that CLEP or AP exam. And so that's another great option. But then Study also provides courses that prepare our kids for CLEP and AP test. And so again, that's so nice because it's just opening up our options, right? Which is what I love. I want all the options out there. Give me the menu with everything on it so I can decide and find what's best for my student, which might be different than somebody else. And then the degree, how can we help them to finish the degree? And Study offers that dual credit. They offer 229 classes for our kids to choose from. And so that allows them to get a jump start on college and lower that cost. But one cool thing that came out of all of this that I didn't even think of or expect was that those 229 classes, whether my daughter was just using it as a homeschool curriculum or for dual credit, she got to pick from all these classes. So it really made high school fun for her and interesting. And so instead of just being offered biology and chemistry, she was choosing from genetics and nutrition and microbiology and just, all these really cool classes. And so they've really helped her to not only enjoy high school, but to also find herself. What is she interested in? What does she think she wants a career in? It's been so neat from that aspect. So, she's taking criminal justice classes and fallen in love with them, psychology classes, business classes, you name it, they have them. And so that was just an amazing thing that that came from all this that I didn't expect, that was also really important, that we help our kids to not get to college and then we tell them, okay, you're supposed to figure it out. Why don't you know what degree you want to go for? It's our job as homeschoolers to give them those opportunities to research and to take those different kinds of classes and really spend high school finding themselves, so that when they get to college, they're prepared to succeed and to finish that degree, because now they're excited about what they want to do when they grow up. And so do you have any thoughts, Jamie, on all of this? I'd love to get your opinion. You're just like such an expert.
Oh, I don't know about expert, but survival skills, yes.
yes, that's awesome.
Well, I just loved everything that you said. It's all so true. Just the fact that they can, in high school, be able to explore those career opportunities or options that are out there. So that's an awesome, that's an awesome option to have. And allowing them to explore whether they like it or not. Like you said, your daughter's enjoying criminal justice. Well, she could have taken it and thought, no, this isn't for me. Exactly. But that's not wasted time. That's okay. Now I know that this is not a good fit for me. I'll go on to something else that might be, so all of that is super for building them up in what they finally arrive at as their decision for their future, for their career, or their vocation or calling, or whatever they choose to do.
Such an important decision. It's something that when I talk to parents, it isn't something that is on their radar. They a lot of times they're not thinking, oh, I have the time in our school day to have my student take these different classes or to research different careers. So, that's so important. I remember my daughter took a sociology class and she's like, Mom, I know I don't ever want to take another sociology class. I'm not going to be a sociologist. And I'm like, I wish at 15 years old, I had something to cross off that list, because, for our teenagers, it's overwhelming. It's such an overwhelming decision. There's so many different choices. But by her taking these different classes, when she fell in love with criminal justice, I had her researching different careers. What do you do every day in that career? What did it take to get that job? What did you need? What are the qualifications? And so it really, again, pairs that education with homeschooling, allowing us to really help them to take career assessments or personality assessments, or just really to help them find their way. And so that is something that definitely, I think, as homeschoolers, that we need to take seriously, that we don't just let them randomly by choice, get to college and start spending this money and really be floundering and not knowing. That is going to lead them to not being one of the 13. And again, we're talking about how to help them to become one of those 13. And so I think that that's just another way that is really helpful. So one thing that when I talk about Study.com, everybody says, oh, they must have just, started because of COVID. I've never heard of them before. And Study has been a pioneer in online education for 20 years. So they really saw the value in bringing affordable and accessible education, but pairing it with technology. And so it's been amazing that all of these resources are online, that you're bringing into your home to give to your students. And so it's self-paced, which is so important because we have students of all abilities. And so I love that for our kids that are just gung-ho and they go faster, they can move ahead. And for our students that need a lot more time processing things, or maybe they need more time with a lesson, they need to read a book, they need to do a project, they need to do kinesthetic activities, they have the time to do that because it's self-paced. And then I love that it's all in one, because again, I don't know about you, but I feel like we've tried so many curriculums and all that fun of, you know, I do this for history, I do this for, and that's great. That works for families. But in my case, it was really helpful to find something that had all of the subjects. And they're not a small company. They've been around 20 years and they're helping over 30 million students every month to exceed and accomplish their learning goals. And so I think that that's also super important, that we can all afford that quality education, that it's accessible. So these are just different tools on study, because it is a rigorous curriculum and it does provide a lot of tools. So depending on how you educate your student and want to use study, they have a lot of different options for each different family. And so hopefully this has been helpful. I know that I am right there in the boat with you. I am a homeschooling mom who has the same concerns as you. And hopefully this was helpful to not only talk about the concerns, but also to offer you an option on a solution for a lot of those concerns you might have, to help prepare your high schoolers for college, to lower college costs, and to help them to graduate with a degree in only 4 years, not 8, or however long that other people are taking. And so I am so grateful that you invited me today. And I just love having that conversation, because the more conversations us homeschoolers have, the more and more opportunities we can find, because it really is different for every family. And I just think that knowing of all these amazing curriculums and opportunities that are out there is going to help us to succeed as parents in our goal of homeschooling.
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you joining us today. And before we kind of wrap up this episode, do you have any final words of encouragement for homeschool parents? It doesn't have to do with high school or middle school, just in general, because we know it isn't easy. It is a commitment. It's something that we determine that we're going to do for some really, usually big reasons. So do you have any words of encouragement for them?
Yes, I love that, because we all have that same goal. We're all trying to succeed at, like you said, raising our kids, homeschooling them and educating them. And so one thing I would say is that you are not alone. We're all in this together. We all have the same fears or concerns, and really look for those experts out there like Jamie, who can point you in the direction of not only just curriculum, but resources, because I think that that's the biggest fear that keeps a lot of people from homeschooling is, I hear with high schoolers a lot, well, what about the diploma? How am I going to make a transcript? What record keeping do I do? There's all of these things that that come with homeschooling, not just in high school, but even down in elementary and middle school. And I would say that we live in an age where technology has been able to help homeschooling. There are resources out there that we don't have to create the wheel on our own. We have other sources that have been created that can make homeschooling easier. It's not a shortcut. It doesn't mean that because you didn't spend hours on Excel creating it, that it's not good enough. Use these resources that us homeschoolers have in 2021 to be able to, be able to help us to do our job efficiently, One of the other things that I love about Study is that it does the grading and the progress tracking for you. And, I have friends that are like, you're a teacher. What do you mean? Like that, you need that. Well, guess what? I'm still a mom and I still only have the same 24 hours in my day as you. And so I would rather spend that time teaching or coaching or going down those fun rabbit holes that our kids get into when they're learning something that's exciting to them. I would much rather spend my time doing that than spending it on grading and doing those things that technology can do for us. So really allow technology to help you and find that support system so that you can be there with other homeschoolers that are going through the same things so they can offer you wisdom and guidance. But then also it's just that that listening ear that you can have somebody that is going through what you're going through and can offer you support. So again, I love what you do, and I have always been a big fan because it's those resources like you even talked about at the beginning of this that are so helpful to all of us to be able to use for our homeschooling. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Janine, for bringing all of this good information to us today. I want to thank our listeners as well for tuning in. And here's to homeschooling and loving it. Until next time.
Bye-bye.